So, one day, I went to church, and I was about 8.5, 9 years old, and I started going to church at a friend of mine's church, and the pastor there was very accepting of others' hearts, and we used to talk once in a while after church. And one day after church, he looked at me and he's like, you're kind of odd. And I said, why am I odd? And he's like, because I can see you listening to everything, but you're not really hearing any of us. And I said, that's right. I'm not really hearing any of you. I'm only feeling and seeing the emotion of everybody around the room, and truly seeing the happiness in people's hearts from the way that you talk about life through these words with them. And he's like, oh, well, that's kind of a different perspective. I'm like, but I don't hear the things that they hear. I don't hear the words as something to embrace and make it so that I feel whole, to move on in my existence. I truly don't. So I realized at that young of an age that I had read from a book back in my bloodline, way, way, way back. And this book, once you read it, it's text, you feel this uplifting wholeness forever. You feel it forever in your blood, forever in everything. So once you read this book changes everything about yourself and your future bloodline. It makes you see the things that others are trying to control or hurt others with. So, some people would call it a Bible, some people would call it a manuscript, or something like that, and it's really just a set of words put forth by a family from the heart, mind, body, and soul, and love for everything and everyone around them. And something like that, it was written in a certain way to show people that this might look like a spell, but it isn't a spell. It's how it's written is made just for us, humans. And they wanted to take that away from us, and they did. And they made their own Bibles and their own all over the place. And people would realize if they read this original text, they wouldn't even need that in their bloodline anymore. So then future people that are born and are in your bloodline would never even need to go to church, anything like that, because they realize that church is home, your family, everyone around you. Everything matters. It truly does. So, reading from this book in my past, someone in my past bloodline has read from this book. So, I don't need any other scriptures or anything to tell me how to run my life. I've always lived this carefreeness when it comes to religions. I truly live like a carefree life. Like I don't It's not that I don't believe in it or, something moving things and helping things along eventually, but I don't believe in you people calling it God's source, stuff like that. So I don't need scriptures and other things to make my heart happy. And that's what people in the church saw on my mother's side. When I went to church, her pastor would see that I was kind of carefree and didn't really care about any religion. And he asked me what I was, and I said I'm not really anything. And he's like, yeah, see, there's a problem with that. And he went to my mother, and they had me hypnotized so that I wouldn't remember this stuff, and I'd be more like them. So then, when I passed away in 2021, it brought all that back. When they revived me twice during surgery to clean out my lung, yeah, it erased all the hypnotism. So I bounced right back into everything. And I see it all. I don't need scriptures. I don't need anything. I can basically speak magic. It's so basic. There's things far beyond magic or magical beings that we can do if we have this realization. There truly is. I could sit here forever and still affect the world around me, and the world around, period. So, I do my readings of heart because in my bloodline we read from the book. Plain and simple. Once we read from the book, your internal knowledge, once it snaps in, it snapped in for me young, like 2 years old. Like, people don't even understand. They soon will, though. They soon will. Because there's more like me. Might not be as strong as me, but that's just because they haven't put in the full effort that they really need to. We'll all get there real soon. It's just, I really needed to put this out here so that everybody knows, Christians, everybody, that I'm not crazy. I just don't need scripture. I'm not atheist. I just don't hold a religion at all. But I can still do the same things as all of you. And that's what's to be said about reading from that book. And that's why the church, clergy, Vatican, whatever you want to say, wanted to hide it from people. Because it truly changed everything. And they realized that they didn't need to go to church to have their religion in their heart. They could make their religion how they wanted it to be. Because that's the way it is. Have a grand rest of your existences. We're all gonna need it.